The Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast is proudly sponsored by New Vision.
My team, Conda, power. I love the power. I love the power. I love the power.
Hi and welcome to the Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast, a weekly podcast dedicated to all things Port Adelaide Footy Club. I'm your host, Macca19, and joining me in his car, as always, is Fishing Rico 4. How are you, buddy?
Yes, very good, mate. I'm joining you from the International Space Station today, and so bear with me if the reception cuts in and out, but very excited to be here.
Fantastic. And joining us for the second time this season on the podcast, we're speaking with T. Craig.
G'day, Macca, Rick. It's good to be back. Got the first game jitters out of the way, and looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Before we start the preview, I want to talk about one thing, and that's it looks like Flinny's coming back. How do we feel about that?
Oh, you're right. I was just going to say I'm very happy. I'm excited. I think Flynn's an exciting player, and it's a big move for him to come over from Ireland and take the plunge. And obviously he had some family issues, and you can't begrudge someone if there's an illness in the family that they want to dedicate themselves to that. And and I think Russell Ebert-Hamble pointed out that the Irish are they're very close knit in some of those towns. I'm not an expert on that, to be honest, but if that's the case, I can understand that, and I think it's great that he's considering coming back, and he's going to be a very exciting player if he can make it.
Yeah, absolutely, Rick. I think he's only pulled on the boots a few times in any sort of game, but that first NAB Cup game, he showed a little bit. He got caught holding the ball probably 3 or 4 times, but he showed some toe. Had a good size about him, could run and jump. So I think he's got all the attributes to make it. It's just a matter of basically getting back here and playing games of footy, because that's the only way he's going to improve and learn the skills of the game and learn sort of the 360 component of the game in terms of where to run, where the ball's going. So he's I'm a little bit sort of sceptical at this stage about whether he's got the commitment to perhaps commit himself to a full-time career, but I'd still like to see him back playing.
Absolutely, I think it's great that he's going to come back. He's only played 3 games of Aussie rules in his life, and one of them was against his teammates, basically. So, he's still got a lot to learn. Obviously, I've said a couple of times, I think his skills are fantastic. He doesn't really need to learn anything there. It's all about his footy now, and you're only going to improve that by playing games. So, would love to see him back soon and getting some games in the SANFL just to get his pace up to the game. And you never know what will happen from there.
And let's face it, he's not really costing us too much in relation to a list spot or anything. And so, I mean, it's a gamble that we can take, and the reward for the risk is well in our favour.
Absolutely.
We got the power to win, power to roll. Come on, Port Adelaide aggression. We are the power from Port.
All right, well, let's get on to the preview. We're playing West Coast Eagles at Subiaco on Saturday night. We've got a 16-9 win-loss record against them, so we do match up well against the Eagles. We won the last game, but we lost the previous 3 before that. At Subiaco, we've got a 12-12 record, so we're not too bad there. But we've actually only won 1 of our last 7 at the ground, which is a bit disappointing and something we'd be looking at improving this weekend.
Yeah, I'm based in Perth, obviously well aware of the fact that our record there lately has been on the nose, so to speak.
Yep.
But I think we're a better team now than we have been the previous 2 or 3 years, I guess, and we're certainly well equipped to take it up to them this weekend. It's just a matter of delivering on the night, I suppose, and sort of absorbing the pressure that they might throw at us early and playing the game on our terms.
That's right. We've brought Chatty Wingard back in. Jack Homsch comes out with a hamstring. So just the one change. A little bit surprising that we haven't brought in another toll.
I'm not too fussed, to be honest. I mean, what was the mantra last year that all the supporters were saying after about 5 rounds? In Ken we trust, and you got to back them in with their decision making. They've got the team running very, very smoothly at the moment, and obviously they had a tall team last week, but I think that's going to be restructured. And the other thing I like is we're playing the game on our terms and let them come to us.
Yep.
Instead of the last 6 years where we've gone, oh, geez, that's what they're playing. We better do this to try and counter what the opposition are doing. So I'm very happy for us, even though it didn't work entirely in our favour against North Melbourne, I'm very happy for us to structure up how we want to and let the teams come to us and try and beat us.
At the end of the day, we've got two key forwards, 2 key backs, and a ruckman. So we're not drastically short or anything. So we've that's no excuse in my mind.
No, that's right. They've got 2 extra tolls, so we've got 2 extra runners. You might know a little bit more than me, T. Cray. Is it going to be pretty hot on Saturday night?
It'll be hot during the day. I think the latest forecast is for 29 degrees maybe,
Yep.
But it won't be anything like Essendon played in on Sunday, because Perth heat is all during the day. Once the sea breeze comes in 3:34, it cools down dramatically. So it'll be a perfect night for football, and certainly I wouldn't have thought that'll be a problem for us.
Yeah. Do we expect Nick Naitanui to play? Is that something we expect to happen? Because he did his calf last week. He's still named in the side. Simpson's come out and said he's not going to drop him. But surely he must be under a bit of an injury cloud.
Well, all the talk this week has been he's going to play, but then I keep reading that he hasn't been training, he's been on light duties. See photos of him in the paper, just handballing to teammates at training rather than actually running around.
Yep.
So there's got to be some question mark about him, but I think it's an important game for them as it is for us. So if he's any chance, they'll play him, and he's obviously an important player to them. So I do expect him to play.
Yeah. They've got Scott Lycett and Callum Sinclair, who are both very, very tall in their emergency list. They've brought in 5 players. They've actually dropped 5 guys this week. And some pretty decent players are coming back in. Darren Glass, Chris Maston, Luke Shuey and Matt Rosa. So they've brought in a lot of experience and a lot of run there.
What about the Walsh factor? Is that going to be something to our advantage this week, having Phil come back over from West Coast after spending, 5 years there? Surely that would give us a little bit of an advantage. But I guess Adam Simpson being a new coach sort of offsets that as well, I guess, doesn't it?
They're not going to have the same sort of midfield structures and setups, that sort of thing. It's more about individual players and knowing how they play the game, which Walsh will be able to impart on our team, I would think.
And it was good to see Aaron Young named on the ground, so he held his place after last week's effort.
Yep. Yeah, good to see. Good to see.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Well, he had a high...
Deserves a full game.
Yeah, well, he had good impact last week coming in off the bench, didn't he? So it's good to... And I thought his final series last year was excellent as well. So, congrats to him keeping his spot and getting, starting the game anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fair to say that if he was at maybe 10 to 12 other AFL clubs, he'd be a definite starting 18 player. He's got good pace, good skills, and I think he's definitely got a future with us.
Yep. So where do we see the danger in this game? I reckon Port and West Coast do match up really, really well together. I think we play very, very similar styles of game. We look for the contested ball, but we also have fantastic spread, have lots of pace on the outside. I think our 2 sets of key forwards are quite even. Schultz and Westhoff against Darling and Kennedy. I reckon they're both pretty evenly matched. And the same thing for the key defenders as well. I think this is going to be a bloody good game.
Yeah, spot on, Macca. I think the dangers for us really is their key forwards. We've got to get those matchups right. I'm not sure what you fellas have been thinking. Who goes to Darling? Who goes to Kennedy? But I think you're right. We do play a similar style of football, and hopefully it's a high-scoring game. Hopefully it's a reasonably free-flowing game, and hopefully we get up.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think the worry for us, for them offensively, is if Nick Nat's fit or Dean Cox, they might be able to expose us defensively. I mean, Mackie pointed out last week with Tim, our key backs have hardly conceded any goals, but, with that extra height, that's where we could potentially be exposed. I'd probably hope we played Tom Jonas on Darling, to be honest, and leave Trengrove to the resting ruck and have Ali Paddy on Josh Kennedy. That's how I'd probably hope for the matchups. I think Tom would be more than capable of running with Darling, and size, physicality wise, he should be quite competitive in that matchup.
Spot on, mate. You've taken the words out of my mouth on that one. I reckon.
I
reckon TJ's
makes a lot
going
of
to be
sense.
great on Darling. He's got the size, he's got the strength, he's got the fitness to be able to go with him. We all know Darling's done a lot of work with the midfield group this year in the pre-season. And I agree. I also think Trengove will go to the resting ruck, whether that's going to be Nat Nui or Cox, or whether they do bring in a Lysett or a Sinclair. And Carlisle should go with Kennedy. I think they're pretty good matchups, those ones.
Yeah. I think Trengove might spend a little bit of time in the ruck this week too, because we'll almost certainly, I think, with Monfries out and Butcher not playing, I think Westhoff will almost certainly play a lot of football forward, and running up and down the wings. So I think Trengove will be the guy that relieves in the ruck as well. So yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Well, he's got the physicality, Trengove, I think, and the leap to probably go into the ruck when Nick Nat's in the ruck. I mean, he probably wouldn't have the strength with Nick Nat, but I mean, he's going to have that anyway in the defensive half. But he's got that aerial ability, probably a bit more convincing over Matt Lobie for that sort of matchup. And so then you have Lobie with Dean Cox when they're in the ruck duel.
Yep.
What about the interchange bench? We've got Polak, Pittard, Gray, Cassisi. Do we think the sub's going to come from one of those guys? I think Pittard sort of failed for us as a sub, and I don't see Cassisi as a substitute player either. Or do you think it might be someone else?
I think it could be Sammy Gray. I don't think they'll want to give him a full game, second game up, big ground. Could come on in the last quarter or so and do a Jason Davenport, but he's probably the most likely to be a sub, I reckon.
I've got a guest here in the car on the side of the road, and Tango disagrees. Tango disagrees with you convincingly, and we believe that Jarman Impey probably should be the substitute.
Okay.
And everyone commented that he was seemed a little bit flat, low on possession count. I just don't see, for me, I don't see Sam Gray as that explosive type player to come on in the last quarter. I think Impey might have that ball winning ability. I said Polak last week. I don't want him this week. I think we need to play Polak the full game, and I'm sure he will. So for me, Jarman Impey is the best fit.
Okay. That's fair enough. I guess I see Impey as having a job to do on the ground throughout the game. They've got a lot of sort of fairly quick small guys like Cripps, Bennell, Ellis, Chris Maston. I reckon he might do a job on one of them.
Yeah. Well, Josh Hill is one player that sort of flaky sort of half forward pocket that we can get exposed to, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, and that's the type of player we're really going to have to watch very carefully. Probably Cam O'Shea and Matthew Broadbent probably aren't ideal matchups for Josh Hill, in my opinion, anyway.
I think O'Shea could go with
Yeah.
it. Broady would struggle, but I think O'Shea probably will be the matchup there. But and Broady will be the spare for most of the game, you'd think.
Yeah.
So are we just going to play Broadbent loose and sort of unaccountable, or do you think he's going to, or can he be exposed against West Coast if they play their cards right? And who do we match him up on?
Depends if they want to match him up or not.
TK, have you seen much of West Coast this year? Have they been playing a loose defender at all, or have they just been playing more man on man? What sort of style? Because looking at the AFL stats, they're West Coast for kicks, 14th. They're way down on kicks. handballs, they're only mid-table, around 8th. So their marks, they're mid-table at 11th. So they're obviously not playing a huge possession game compared to some of the other sides. Are they just trying to kick along down the line, or what's the sort of style they're playing over there?
Yeah, you're right. A lot long kicking down the line. Plenty of they like to clear the defence quickly, and I think probably one of the things that dictates that for them is the fact that they've lost Hearn and Waters to injury for the whole season so far, and probably most of the season for both of them. So those are the two players who they'd probably like to have back there loose and distributing the ball, but they're not there. So you can only really work with what you've got.
A long down the line game style, I guess, will probably be very suitable for us with with us wanting to play that spare defender, and with our tools being very secure in negating the key forwards. You think that's a game style that we'd probably accustom ourselves to very well, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably one of the reasons why we've had a good record against West Coast, because that's traditionally been the style of football they've played. Probably because of the size of the ground they play at, they like to come up with a style of football that suits their ground. So I think we'll be happy if they play like that on Saturday night. That's for sure.
The other thing I want to talk about is the battle of the midfields. I think both our midfields match up incredibly well. They've got Selwood, Gaff, Priddis, Shuey, Maston. We've got guys like Boak, Ebert, Wines, Hartlett. How do you see that one playing out? Because I reckon it's going to be on. Yeah,
I think, and that's probably why they've brought in some midfielders into their team that we mentioned earlier, and they're going to try and run with us. I think we shade them for quality. To be honest, I think we've got certainly better skilled players by foot in our midfield, and probably a little bit more size as well. But their midfield on its day can do some damage, and Shuey's probably their number one mid in my opinion for the way he plays in terms of effectiveness, his kicking, the way he can get forward. Priddis is obviously their primary sort of extractor at the stoppages.
Do they have a natural player to run with Matt White? Because I don't see a player where Matt White really needs to match up defensively in this game to sort of counter their run. So could this be a game where we use Matt White more like last week as an attacking weapon? Because I don't know if I can see anyone there that might be able to run with him for speed.
Well, Andrew Gaff's probably the one that I'd want to keep an eye on, because he's turned into a fantastic ball winner. He's super quick. He plays very, very outside. He would be the perfect matchup for White from a Port point of view, I would think.
He might also go to Maston,
yep,
depending on what they've got in mind. But yeah, I was really happy with Matty White's game last week. I've been critical of him in the past, I guess, for not winning enough the ball, maybe. But he was superb last week, and he's I suppose it'll take any player, at least a couple of months to find their place in a new team. So it's certainly good signs for him to be having a game like that, fourth time out.
Oh, sorry, mate. I was just going to say I'm quite confident that our midfield's just a little bit deeper than theirs. I know I'm not disrespecting their midfield. I just think on form, you look at the stats that we've been racking up compared to theirs as well. We've been clearly dominating the possessions compared to what their game style is, and I just think overall we probably just have one or two extra midfielders in probably a little bit better form than what they do. And if they did have Gastro last week, which the rumours going around, obviously that takes a while to recover too. So some of their midfielders, even though they've replaced a few, some of their midfielders still could be a little bit down on output this week as well.
Yep.
Let's hope so.
Absolutely. Well, look, let's go on to our Big Four, which is the Big Four questions we ask at the end of all these previews, just to determine the result of the game. The first one is time to stand up. Rick, I'll start with you, mate. Who's going to stand up?
Who's going to stand up or who needs to stand up?
Both, really, isn't it?
I think I think this game's fit for Jared Pollock. He's had a great start to the year. I don't think he needs to stand up in relation to he's been down on form, but I can see this game Subiaco suiting his sort of style, and I'm hoping that he's going to have another big and breakout game for us.
We've discussed it already to some extent. Matty Lobe. It has to be Lobe.
Yep.
He's had a slow start to the season, I guess. He hasn't been, horrific or anything, but he hasn't, I guess, stamped his influence on a game yet. This is the game. Cox and Naitanui, well, definitely Cox, maybe Naitanui, and he's got to stand up. He's got to level the hit outs. He's have an influence around the ground because we really need him this week. We can't afford to be dominated by the Cox and Naitanui combo, or we could. That could very well be the thing that loses us the game.
Absolutely. Very fair point, that one as well. I'm going to go with Jay Schultz.
Yep.
Which is a little bit left of centre, I guess, assuming he's coming off a 7-goal game and he's leading the Coleman. But he's only actually kicked 5 goals in 5 games against West Coast while he's been at Port. And he's only kicked 8 goals in 8 games at Subiaco as well. So I reckon it's time for Schultz to come out and have a big game against the Eagles. And have a big game at Subiaco as well. I'd love to see him come out and kick 3 or 4 this week.
Yep, that'd be great. I like your research, Macca. Nice stuff.
And it's worth probably noting at this point in time as well that they've Darren Glass is coming back into the side, and he's been a fantastic fullback. So it's going to be the ultimate challenge for Jay, isn't it?
Absolutely. Now the danger man, T. Cray. I'll start with you, mate. Who's the danger man?
I'll go for Josh Kennedy. He's probably an underrated key forward. I reckon he's good mark, can kick a long way. If he can get the ball anywhere within 55, he's a chance to slot it with that strange goal kicking action, but it's effective. He's whoever goes to him. We've discussed it'll probably be Carlisle who starts with him. Has a big job because he's the sort of player that could easily kick 5+ goals. We talk about Schultz needing a big game. West Coast would probably be saying that they need a big game from Josh Kennedy. He's definitely one that we need to stop to make sure we get over the line.
Yep. Nice one, Rick. What about yourself, mate?
Look, I'm torn really. I mean, you could really, as T has brought out before about the Ruttman, but I'm going to go Matt Priddis. I think we don't want to get dominated at the stoppages away from home. And so I'm hoping that someone like Kane Corns does a real lockdown job. I mean, Matt's a great extractor of the ball, and he'll get it out to their runners if we let him run free. So hopefully Kane can shut him down, and that will help cut down any stoppage dominance on their part as well, I would imagine.
Yep.
Yeah, good call.
Nice one. I'm going to choose a midfielder as well and go with Andrew Gaff because he's their best outside runner. He's a fantastic kick of the footy. He uses it well. He finds their forwards. If he gets away from us, it's going to be hard to stop. So that's why I'd love to see Matty White go to him and do a really good shutdown job on him and perform a bit of a different role than what he did last week.
All right, I'll throw one at you, Macca. Yep. So let's say Gaff is beating Matt White. Who are we going to roll on to Gaff, do you think?
I would put probably Pittard because I think he's got the pace to go with him and he's got a bit of extra height as well.
Yep.
Plus I love Pittard up the field.
Why up the field anywhere? Just go Jasper.
The Pittard podcast coming to you live.
It's coming.
All right, Rick. Key to winning. What's it going to be?
Well, a key to winning for me is, as it's been pointed out earlier, will be negating the Ruttman if they're fit and firing, and I'd like to have a more dominant stoppage display, and hopefully we have a bit of a better structure midfield. I did think against North we seemed to be lacking a little bit. I'm just reflecting back to the game we lost compared to the dominance of what we won. It was really hard to take too much away from that Brisbane game. So I'd really like to see that we have good set plays, good structures in the midfield, and if we can negate the rut work and reduce Priddis from extracting the ball out, I think that will lead us to a good win.
Yep.
Beyond any players or anything specific we do, probably the most important thing we can do to help ourselves on Saturday night would be to get a good start. It's a pretty hostile place to play. Subiaco. There's 40,000 West Coast fans sitting right on top of you. They make a lot of noise. It's a very one-sided crowd, and it's really important that you can get on top of that early, start playing your game, get into the right frame of mind to be playing football, and maybe if we're maybe a couple of goals in front at quarter time, something like that would really go a long way towards winning, I reckon.
Yep. Yeah, I like that call. We definitely need to start off well. Absolutely. My key to winning is, I'm going to say, goals from our midfielders. I think if you look at West Coast stats, they get very few goals from their mids. It all comes from their forward line. We actually get quite a lot from ours. I'd love to see that continue this weekend. And I think if it does, we'll definitely win the game. I'd love to see 5 or 6 goals from Boki, Hammer and Wines, just so they can really continue their goal scoring start to the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, what are we averaging, about 130 points a game or something?
Yeah.
I think we're the highest
Right
scoring
up there.
team in the competition.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, if we're not, we'd be close. And yeah, that means you're getting a lot of input from a lot of different players. Certainly, Pollock could kick multiple goals. Wines is showing he can kick goals. Boak obviously can go for Hartlett. It's probably something that West Coast don't have in abundance. Goal kicking mids. So it's a big ground, but I think we'd definitely back ourselves to cover it well. And if we can get maybe 10 goals out of our midfield, we'd be pretty happy, I reckon.
Absolutely, without a doubt. So
And it's 18.5 goals a game. So we're tracking right up there.
Yeah. Who's going to win, T-Cray?
You've got to be confident. It's a long weekend. Everyone's up and about. Porter coming to town, so I reckon Port by 10 points in a tight one. We do generally have tight games with West Coast, so I see that continuing.
Yep.
And I reckon we'll get up.
Nice.
Port, quite confident. I'm thinking we're going to start well, like you guys said, and 35 points.
Oh, nice one. That's a big one. I think their extra time might be an issue for us. And conversely, I think our extra runner may be an issue for them as well. I think it's going to be a really good, very, very even game. It's going to be very similar to that North Melbourne game, I feel. I think we might break out to an early lead, and we'll watch them sort of peg us back with their home crowd. If it was played at Adelaide Oval, I think we'd win. But as it's being played at Subi, I'm going to say West Coast by 10 points.
I hope you're dead wrong, Macca.
Yeah, me too.
Tango's attacking me in the car. What the hell is going on here? Oh my god. Well, I can't squeak the chair because this car doesn't have a squeaky chair. So that's, mate, I am ashamed.
Oh.
Ashamed.
Well, you can't pick
How,
Port
what's
every
going on
weekend.
here? And I can't,
Jesus.
yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can. But...
Can't you?
Cheer, cheer the black and the white. Honor the Magpies day and by night. Live that loyal.
Okay, so the next game we're going to talk about at the moment is the round 3 match against Woodville West Torrens. It's going to be played on Easter Monday at Woodville Oval. The good thing is that we've seen Campbell Heathers named in the side this week.
Yeah, he's been a long time between playing footy for him, obviously. I think it took a little while to get to the crux of actually what was wrong with him earlier in the season. No one really knew for a little while.
Yep.
But it'll be interesting to see actually if he plays forward or back, because he started last season playing as a defender for us and ended up playing as a forward. So
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see where he actually lines up for the Magpies on the weekend.
I'd love to see him across that half-back line again. That's where he sort of made his niche last year in the AFL side, and he played a lot of very, very good footy there for the Eagles last year. Obviously, he's playing against his old team this week.
Yeah, I think I was actually surprised, to be honest, when he was omitted from the AFL team last year. I think he's quite a good little player. He's a good one-on-one player. His kicking's okay, but his one-on-one defensive stuff is really good. So hopefully he does get another go at playing in the back line,
Yep.
and I'm sure he'll go well against his old team. He'll know exactly what he needs to do to stop whoever he's matched up on.
Yep.
I have nothing. Nah. Seriously, yeah. Look, it's. I'm looking forward to Benny Newton. I want to really see him start dominating. I mean, I'm a bit of a broken record here with our AFL players and what I hope to see from them at SANFL level. And last week, they all racked up good numbers. So the Eagles aren't going to be that soft, obviously, and they're a good side, and they're going to be missing their sniper who's out of action for 7 weeks, so that's going to be a bit of a loss for them. But I really want to see our AFL players really stand up, and I try to not have too much of a love fest with my favourite players here, but our player sponsor Brendan got a bit of a rap, Archie, from Gary Hocking. They tried him in a different role last week apparently, and played him as a bit of a tagger, and did a good job and kicked a couple goals. So that. It'll be interesting to see how he's used again this week, and I just really want to see our Sammy C and Campbell Heath and Benny Newton, these and Paul Stewart's another one. I mean, I don't know. Well, I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking where Paul Stewart's at the moment, because he's really in his physical prime, and he should be dominating SANFL level, and he really should be playing AFL. So and it's a bit of a worry if he can't break into that side.
I think the trouble with Stewie is that he's almost just caught in between with every position. He's got no real position. He's a forward 1 minute, he's a back, he's a mid. If he was just one position player, I think it would be easier for the coaches to say, right, we peg him here, we peg him there. But I think he kind of just gets lost a little bit because he's just this utility player, and he sort of just gets come in when we need a spare parts man. And I personally like him as a defender, as a halfback, but I don't see where his spot is in the AFL team at the moment for that.
Yeah, he's named as an emergency this week for the AFL side, so he's certainly around the mark.
Well, hopefully they thump the Eagles anyway.
I hate the Eagles with a passion, so I'd love to see us thump them.
Yeah, I just keep going back to 1994, Macca.
What about Johnny Butcher? What do we expect from him this week?
Oh, another 5 goals would be great.
Yep. What did you make of his game last week?
I think I said on the podcast that I thought... I said in the review I thought he played like a 197 centimetre small forward, in that he kept working himself underneath the ball coming in. I'm not sure he can actually read the flight of the ball on his leads all that greatly, because he seems to work himself under the ball almost every single time. But look, when he got the ball, something good generally happened. He kicked 5 goals, including a massive 60-metre drop punt, and a couple of great ground goals as well. So look, I think it's just all about confidence with Butch, as we seem to know. Hopefully he can come out and have another big game and get himself back into that AFL team, because I do think we need that third tall up forward for sure.
Yep. He's the anti-Brett Ebert.
Absolutely.
He's a short man stuck in a tall man's body.
Yeah. Absolutely. Ebo was a bloody short bloke that could take a fantastic contested mark, and Butch is almost the exact opposite. That's a fantastic call.
It's funny. I mean, could be part of last week be if he was running under the ball, was the standard of delivery the same as what he would have been getting at AFL level? So was he timing his leads maybe a little bit too early, thinking that the ball was going to come a little bit faster?
I don't think it is the timing issue or the standard of the kicks coming in, because he does the exact same thing at AFL level. So I think it's more just he struggles to be able to read the flight of the ball, and that's something that Ginniver said on the podcast last week as well, was that he's noticed it as well, and sometimes he finds himself 5 metres under, and you think, well, geez, how did he misread it that bad? So either everybody at every level is can't kick to John Butcher, or it's an actual issue with John Butcher himself and something that he needs to work out.
So what about the rest of the teams, the picks, guys? Who you thinking is going to win this week? And there's a game going on at the moment. I did pick Richmond. What about you guys?
Oh, it's got to be Richmond after last week.
Yeah. You couldn't pick Brisbane.
No, definitely not.
You couldn't pick them against anyone. So,
No.
yeah, Richmond.
Yeah.
Not because
And-
Richmond are any good.
I reckon this is going to be a bloody good game. Collingwood North Melbourne at the MCG.
Yep, I agree with that. I reckon North Melbourne for that one.
Yep.
I went
for me
North.
too. North.
Three for North. Lovely. And another game, which I think could be pretty close and competitive. Sydney Freo.
I'm going to say...
I went Freo.
Oh, I went Freo, okay. I'm going to say Sydney at their home ground.
And Freo, and I went Freo as well. Sydney's going to be one of those ones that's going to cost me a lot of picks this year. I reckon they're definitely struggling a little bit.
Yep.
And obviously we've done West Glasgow, Essendon, St Kilda.
Not really, no. Pass.
Now, a week and a half ago, everyone was saying GWS is going to knock off Adelaide. Do you reckon you guys still think that might be the case, or do you think Adelaide's going to find their mojo now?
No, Adelaide will win.
Yeah. The midfield will be far too strong.
Yeah.
And Melbourne, Gold Coast.
Gold Coast.
Yeah, Gold Coast. But it'll be interesting to see how the D's go, really. See if they can back up what they did last week.
Yep.
And I went Gold Coast as well. I think the Gary Ablett show will just keep rolling on and rolling on. And we've got the Dogs and Carlton. Carlton going to lift for Mick Malthouse this week. Chris Judd's back, so that's definitely going to help.
Yeah, I'm going to go Carlton this week.
Dogs.
And another cracker, Geelong Hawthorn. Geelong's lost Caddy, I see, and I notice our supporters are already talking about it for next week's game. Looking at their game from last week, I would have preferred it to have been Guthrie than Caddy if there was going to be an injury, but yeah.
Oh, I'm going to say Hawthorn.
Yeah, Hawthorn. Hawthorn probably, but you wouldn't be surprised to see Geelong get up.
Just before we close off, myself and Rick had the opportunity to interview Port Adelaide's General Manager for Member Services, Matthew Richardson, before the Brisbane match at Adelaide Oval last week, where we got to ask him some forum questions as well. Apologies for the background noise, but we've got the interview. We're going to play it after we finish here. The stadium speakers actually started up and were really bloody loud halfway through the interview. And we've got to say thanks again for Matthew for giving up his time on a very busy game day to speak to us from the podcast as well.
And the irony was that we actually moved from the locker room because we had the locker room tickets for that game, and we looked at each other and went, bit loud in here, we better move outside. And so we move outside, and within 2 minutes, the audio and the PA system just starts blaring, doesn't it? And I guess quickly before you play it, Macca, what did you think of the locker room experience?
I thought it was fantastic. As we spoke about on the last podcast, it would have been great if there was a little bit of audio from the room. I can understand why they wouldn't want microphones in there for the whole time, just in case there's some sort of private information that gets spoken about. But certainly for the audio for the song, if we win, that would be fantastic. The view is awesome. You get to see everything. The drinks are good. It's a lovely room down there. We had Chad Wingard talk in there as well before the game. It was fantastic. Highly recommend it.
It's a bit of a weird experience, isn't it? How the supporters inside the locker room want to be seen by the players, but obviously it's a mirrored glass. So the players obviously know that there's people there, but they can't see them. So they'll be hearing this random tapping on the window or bashing on the window from players, people trying to get their attention, and they're like, well, what the hell's going on here?
That's right.
But, I mean, it's a great initiative, isn't it? And it's really, pulling supporters into the game. And, I mean, if people can get an opportunity to get a ticket, it's definitely worth having a go. And later in the season, I might even offer a couple of 2 tickets up to some big footy supporters as a bit of a raffle or some sort of competition or something. So everyone will have to keep an eye out and see when that comes up.
Nice work. Well, T. Cray, thanks for coming on again, buddy.
My pleasure, Macca. My pleasure. Hopefully hopefully it's a good performance this weekend from the boys, and us Perth fans can finally see a win.
Absolutely. Be loud and proud.
Will
do.
Will you be going to an establishment post game if the boys get up and win?
Oh, absolutely. The Subi Footy Club will be rocking if we get up. So can't wait.
Nice one.
Yeah, thanks for being patient with me, guys. I only had to drive 20 k's to get reception, but that's all good. And like you said, thanks for Matt Richardson for making time on a very busy game day schedule for coming to have a chat to us. And once again, I'd like to say thanks to Tim Jennifer for coming on in the last review, and it was a fantastic experience for me. And it's great to see that so many podcast followers have really enjoyed that experience as well.
Indeed. And as Timmy said after the game, after the podcast last week, go Port Adelaide.
Go Port Adelaide.
Can't the pair.
Go Maggies!
Woo! G'day guys, myself and Rick here from the Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast here at the fantastic Adelaide Oval before the Brisbane match, and we've got a bit of a special guest on this afternoon. I'm talking with the General Manager for Member Services, Matthew Richardson. How you going?
Great guys, great to be here, beautiful day.
Fantastic day. Brilliant. Now before we get started, just want to find out a little bit about your Port background and your history with the club.
Yeah, I came to the club in start of 2001 to the Magpies, and I was there till 2008, and then in 2009 I came across to the AFL club and basically done a lot of different roles, but the last couple of years been mainly focused on member services and the transition into Adelaide Oval.
Yep. 50,000 members, you've got to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it is. It's terrific. It's I think it's a testament to all of our people and our whole community.
Yep.
There were a lot of people a few years back that questioning whether the Port Adelaide community was actually big enough, and I think we always knew it was. It was just a matter of re-engaging and reconnecting those people, and I guess rebuilding a football club that they could be proud of. And I think we've done that, and now the really exciting thing is we know that with this fantastic new venue, the way that the team's playing. Magpies in the SANFL as well. There's some really exciting things for the future. So I think that's the message to people is 50,000 is great, but to use Ken Hinckley's language, there are no limits at Port Adelaide, and I think what you'll see is we'll start to be even more innovative with how we develop our membership packages, and the great thing in the last couple of weeks is, I think we did 900 memberships last week, probably another 600 or 700 this week, so it's really showing no signs of slowing down, which is terrific.
And the corporate memberships had a massive uptake, has it, from previous years?
It has. I guess the difference with Adelaide Oval is we have so much more inventory. So at Amy Stadium, there were corporate boxes, super suites, and that was really about it. At Adelaide Oval, as you guys have seen today, you've got the locker room here, you've got the deck over on the eastern wing overlooking the hill, which that would just be sensational today out on the out in the sun looking over the hill. Terrific atmosphere. We've got corporate boxes, we've got so many different options. So the club's got a lot more inventory to be able to sell, but also the great thing is there are a lot more experiences that we're able to provide our clients.
And as you can tell, a lot more vibrancy at Adelaide Oval to Footy Park as well.
Absolutely, you can actually hear the audio, which is a major step forward. But no, in all seriousness, it's a terrific atmosphere. I mean, everyone that was here for the first game, it was really, really special occasion. There's a lot happening outside the ground, and today, even from 11:30, 12 o'clock, there was a real buzz outside the ground. The people coming over the bridge, all the activity in the Southern Plaza, the kids zone out in the east, and there's so much happening outside the ground. But then once you come in, you've got the 3 super screens, you've got the audio. It really is, it's an entertainment experience. It's not just about the footy.
One of the popular questions on our forum has been just how many season ticket holders we actually have.
Yeah, sure. We've got the club itself has got around about 28,000 season ticket holders. Now that's made up of, there are about 5,000 essential powers, so they're non-reserve seat holders, and then we've got probably just over 1,000 general admission season ticket holders, which is a new product for this year. So that leaves us with about 22,000 reserve seat. So that makes up the 28. And I don't think the reserve seat number is going to grow. Well, we've still got some capacity in the western side, and we'll actually be releasing a new product next week in the west. So still got probably another 3,000 or 4,000 that we could sell in there.
Yep.
But I think the opportunity for our club, and this is the difference between a lot of the clubs in Melbourne have general admission membership that don't have a lot of season ticket holders. The interstate clubs are the other way around. So the opportunity for us over the next few years is to build that general admission product, and that's one of the reasons that we've actually left about 7,000 seats in the stadium that we use for general admission members. So that's your 3 gamers, country, interstate, and then the 11 game GAs. They can use up those 7,000. Now, the beauty of that is you can oversell it because not everyone's going to turn up. And also the great thing about that membership is those people, if they decide that in a particular week, one of the night games, for example, look, I'd like to sit in Black Diamond seats this week, they can actually just upgrade into a reserve seat for a particular game. So I think that's where over the next couple of years we'll start to move into that area and really start to drive that general admission membership.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Sorry, I just lost my eardrums there.
We've got a few questions from the forum. This one's from Kick Puncher. What average crowd figure is the club hoping to achieve this season?
Look, our budget was around about 34,000. Obviously, we were away to a terrific start at 50,000 plus. Today, to be honest, it's going to be really interesting for us just to see. Obviously, we've got the extra. We've got 28,000 people who have got access to this game. Plus, on top of that, you've got the 8,000 Adelaide Oval football members that have got access to this game. So you've got 36,000 people that have actually got access to the game, plus all your general admission members. Daily ticket sales have been pretty encouraging this week. We pre-sold around about 4,000, which compared to last year, the Brisbane game's about double.
Yep.
So, and the other aspect of today, it's the first time that the first 2 games at Adelaide Oval, basically the only way you get in is to be a season ticket holder by the club. Today, you can walk up and you can buy a ticket. So it'll be really interesting to see how many of those people we get. Having said that, Saturday afternoon's not a great time slot for us. We know that. A lot of people, amateur league footy started, country footy started, so that impacts some of your people and they're just not able to come. But today we really, as you can see, it's just a cracking day. So we're looking forward to a great crowd today.
Well, I was hoping for 33,000. Craig was as well. Optimistic for 40. There's no excuses for people not really to be coming out here today on
Absolutely. This one's from Russell Lieber Handball. Will the numbers on the hill be policed? So if you don't have a ticket for the hill, can you actually go and stand there?
You can go and stand there. Having said that, they will monitor it, and if it looks as if it's getting to a point where it's uncomfortable and not safe, because they've got there are limits in terms of how many people can be within a set area, then they will stop people going on the hill. But already looking across there, it's starting to build up and be a terrific atmosphere out there today.
This one's from Ford Fairlane. Does the club think there's any value in a 3-game sort of Power and Magpies membership option, like a full season ticket combo type thing?
Well, effectively, we've already got it, because for all of our any of our members, there's the We Are Port Adelaide upgrade, which for $50 gets you into every one of the Magpies home games this year at Alberton Oval. So it's there already, we've probably sold around about 2,500 of those. So effectively, we've already got it. It's there for people that want to also come along and support the boys in the SNFL.
This one's also from Russell Lieber Handball. Are you able to explain the international membership and why the AFL came around to allow them to include AFL TV subscription to it?
Yes, it's the reason for the timing. There's no particular reason for the timing. It just was something that, in reality, it was probably going to be launched next year for clubs to be able to do it. But we decided that, well, look, let's actually get it out there this year. We know that there probably in reality there would have been a lot of people that would have bought their subscription through the AFL. By putting it out there this year, it probably just flags for people that will going into next year, rather than buying your subscription through the AFL, you've got the opportunity to buy it through the club. So that's how it works. For the international members, it's terrific because it allows you to download or stream onto your computer. So for those people that have got, Apple TV, that sort of stuff, you can imagine they're going to have live games on their plasmas. We'll also, in the coming weeks, actually be releasing a digital upgrade membership. So for all of our existing members, we haven't set the price yet, but it'll be sort of around about $60 to $70. You'll be able to take out a digital membership, which will then give you access to you'll be able to your iPhone, iPad, any of those sort of devices. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming in the next few weeks.
And that money goes to the club, not the AFL.
Yeah, there's a subscription fee that goes to Telstra, and then there'll be a small amount that'll come to the club. But I guess the way we're approaching that one is we're providing that as just another service for our members.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What sort of numbers are we hoping for the international membership?
It's hard to say. We haven't actually put a lot of thought into that yet, but we know that quite often we get a lot of emails and we see stuff coming through the blogs from people that are overseas, so they love to stay connected with the club. It's much easier now to stay connected with the club with our media team does an absolutely terrific job. This week the video series on the 2004 Grand Final has just been fantastic, and all that stuff is produced internally. So we've got some really talented people inside the club now. So look, it'll be interesting to see when we launch that properly next year. I think we've got around about 25 so far, but hopefully next year we can grow that.
So it's from Porsche. Is there any possibility to get a non-ticketed membership where the money that might otherwise go to paying for the full season ticket goes to Food Bank instead?
It's a good idea. We could, I guess there are a lot of things that we do for Food Bank today. For example, the Food Bank volunteers are collecting outside the ground. Every goal that gets kicked, there's some money that goes to Food Bank. But absolutely, that's certainly something that we could look at next year.
What happens to the uneaten food at Adelaide Oval? Is that something that Food Bank gets involved in?
I'm not sure, to be honest. It's probably a question for the stadium, but I'm sure those sort of things do happen.
Sure. And the last one is, can you tell us a bit more about the locker room experience and what we can expect throughout the year?
Well, probably I'll be more interested to hear you boys at about 5:30 this afternoon and see how you're going. So, look, it's a fantastic inner sanctum experience. We were just down there before. The boys are warming up in the rooms, and I'm sure you guys got a set. You can't help but get that tingle. It's a bit like all of us have played footy, and that moment inside the change rooms before you run out. I think the lineaments almost. You can smell it, and it's that's a really unique experience in itself. Then you come up here, you've got great seats up behind the cheer squad. I sat behind the cheer squad actually last week at Etihad, and it's just fantastic, the atmosphere. They do a great job, our cheer squad. So it'd be great seats, and then during the breaks, pop downstairs, refuel, and then get in there at half time when the boys come back in, and then hopefully after the game you're down there and you're singing the song with the boys. So it's a fantastic experience. What we will be looking to do is offer that to some of our members as an upgrade option in the coming weeks. So again, another thing to stay tuned for. But a really new experience. But to be honest, I'll be more interested to see what you guys think of after today.
Absolutely.
We'll do a review later on the podcast.
That's it. Well, Matthew, thank you for your time today.
Pleasure. Thanks very much for your support on Big Footy, guys.
Thanks, mate.